This is Good Morning Charleston.
And we're starting off with breaking news out on the roadways. All lanes of I-26 westbound still shut down. That's because of a deadly crash. It happened overnight. South Carolina's Highway Patrol says at least one person was killed in that crash. It happened in the westbound lanes right near Ashley Phosphate Road before 2 o'clock this morning. No word yet on what caused that crash or if anyone else was hurt.
And we've been following this developing story all morning, and our whole team working for you, our traffic trackers Megan Rivers and Trooper Bob, keeping their eyes on the road this morning on how this accident is impacting your commute. Let's start with Trooper Bob. Bob, what's the latest?
Hey, good morning, Tessa. Yeah, good morning, everyone. This is still an active scene westbound on I-26. This is just past Ashley Phosphate Roadway between Ashley Phosphate Road and Interstate US 78. You can see right through the camera right now is this still active scene. Investigators are still out there working this collision. It's a fatal collision that occurred earlier this morning. Now, I do see some orange lights, so that's telling me a tow truck is on scene. So hopefully this will be cleared up here very soon. Megan, how things are looking on your end?
Well, Bob, that continues to be the big main talker that we have this morning. We're going to take a look now at drive times for folks traveling in those westbound lanes. If you're coming from downtown Charleston going towards Summerville, the drive time right now is still at 22 minutes. You will have to take that detour, so it's not a big delay, but it causes about maybe a 5 to 6 minute backup in your drive time right now. From downtown Charleston to Ashley Phosphate Road, though, that drive time right now is at 12 minutes. From Summerville to downtown Charleston in those eastbound lanes along I-26, still just a 21-minute drive. Now, coming up next, we're going to take a look at those drive times for folks traveling from West Ashley to Mount Pleasant via 526. Emily?
All right, thanks, Megan. We are in for a cool morning out there. About the chilliest part of the day right now. In some spots, we're in the 40s. You're going to need a coat if you're in Somerville this morning. As you're headed out the door, it is 46 degrees right now. It's only 48 in Monk's Corner. A chilly start there as well. Cool in Charleston at 51. Cooler than we were yesterday, but not quite as chilly as we have been here over the past few weeks. So we are seeing those temperatures coming up over the next few days, but right now anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler than yesterday at this time. So we're getting a cooler start, but we're going to have a slightly warmer afternoon. High pressure and control right now, and the sun coming up here shortly at 6:21 this morning. As that sun is coming up, we're going to see clear skies, lots of sunshine in the forecast today, and while we're in the 50s in many locations right now, we're headed for a warm afternoon. I'll let you know how warm it gets today. What day this week we could top out near 90 degrees. That's coming up.
We're getting new details this morning on a shooting at a North Charleston apartment complex. Police say it happened Tuesday afternoon at Atlantic Palms Apartments just off Highway 78. Officers say they found a man with his hands up, and according to a report, he told police a group of men tried to rob him. That's when he said he fired his weapon. Police say a gunshot victim was dropped off at Trident Hospital. No word on arrests.
What started as a debate over $10 has now turned into a full-fledged audit of Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg's spending. Councilman Harry Griffin accused the mayor of spending about $10 extra on city funding to print his wife's contact information on the back of his business card. Griffin calling that a violation, and that issue led to a pretty tense discussion at last night's city council meeting.
And I was told that the first batch of cards had her name only, but that the mayor's name was subsequently added to the other side to make this a mayor's office expense. And so I ask again, who authorized this?
She is the First Lady of Charleston. It's an honorary position, admittedly. I want to tell y'all a little bit about my wife, Sandy. She's a woman of faith. Her heart is to serve our city and our community.
It was also revealed last night that Mayor Tecklenburg's wife drives his city-funded vehicle. The mayor then agreed to that full financial audit. Now there are several mayoral candidates involved in this debate. Harry Griffin, of course, Mayor Tecklenburg are running. The same goes for council members Gary White and Mike Seekings. The two outsiders in the race, that's Will Freeman and Cherry Irwin. That race will be decided on November 5th.
A live look at Washington right now. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham is expected to hold a press conference this morning. He'll address legislation regarding the crisis at the southern border. Meanwhile, the senator is facing some backlash after a recent comment. According to reports from the Washington Post and the New York Times, Graham said Donald Trump Jr. should plead the Fifth to keep from answering questions from the Senate Intelligence Committee. The committee subpoenaed Trump Jr. after he backed out of two scheduled interviews regarding the Russia investigation.
President Donald Trump has ordered all flags be floated half-staff today. It's in honor of Peace Officers Memorial Day. There will be a service held in D.C. later this morning as all part of National Police Week.
Now to today's number of the day. It looks a potential change to the way we elect the president. 14 states plus Washington, D.C. have joined the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. The goal is to have the president decided not by the electoral vote, but instead by the popular vote. All of the states that joined cast their votes for Democratic candidates in the past 3 presidential elections.
Covering the state now, testimony set to resume at 9:15 this morning in a high-profile Horry County case. Jerome Jenkins already been found guilty of murder, attempted murder, and armed robbery. Today marks day 3 of that sentencing phase. It's the first death penalty case in Horry County in nearly a decade. Jenkins' mother took the stand Tuesday in hopes of sparing her son's life.
I said, Jay, I want you to follow in your daddy's footsteps. And I preached to him every day. I preached to all of them. I don't want none of them to go to jail.
The defense now pushing for a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. Officials say that Jenkins killed a woman in January 2015 and then was involved in another woman's death that very same month. Now to a tragedy unfolding in Lexington County. The county coroner there says 8-year-old Mason Hanahan died Tuesday. He was shot in what deputies are calling a home invasion. They're now looking for the man involved. According to those investigators, the suspect might have been shot by a man who lives inside that home.
6:06 now, and new overnight, the Alabama State Senate passed what's considered to be the toughest abortion law in the country. It would ban nearly most abortions in the state. Supporters say their ultimate goal is to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark decision legalizing abortion. Lauren Walsh was in the room as lawmakers participated in a heated debate.
25 ayes, 6 nays, 1 abstention. House Bill 314 passes.
A bill to ban nearly all abortions in Alabama is certain to face a challenge in court if signed into law by Governor Kay Ivey. But supporters say that's their goal.
Life is precious. Life is a gift of our Creator, and we must do everything that we can to protect life. And if it is a couple of $1 million, that is a small, small price.
Opponents expected the bill to pass, but did all they could on the Senate floor to try to add an exception for victims of rape and incest.
You couldn't have thought it all the way through. Because if you're going to allow a baby to be raped, or an uncle, or a father or a cousin to be able to have babies by their own family, you couldn't have been thinking this all the way through.
That amendment rejected with a vote of 21-11.
You just raped Alabama with this bill that you're about to send out here, and the governor, when you sign it, you just raped the state of Alabama yourself.
The bill would make it a Class A felony to perform an abortion in Alabama and a Class C felony for attempting an abortion. The only exception is if a mother's life is in jeopardy. The bill's sponsor, Republican Representative Terry Collins of Decatur, says she expects the governor to sign it.
My goal with this bill is not to hurt them in any way. My goal with this bill, and I think all of our goal, is to have Roe versus Wade turned over, and that decision ability be able to be sent back to the states so that we can come up with our laws that address and include amendments and things that address those issues.
That was Lauren Walsh reporting. Governor Kay Ivey's office will receive that bill today. She says she'll give it careful consideration. She has 6 days to make a decision.
And we want to know what you think. Do you agree with Alabama's bill that essentially outlaws most abortions? You can go to abcnews4.com/poll right now to vote. You can see those results on your screen. 75% saying no, 25% saying yes. We'll bring you those up-to-date results a bit later on in our newscast. On overnight, there's word that pilots tried to get answers about a possible problem from Boeing before that second 737 MAX 8 jet crashed. ABC News now citing the New York Times this morning and outlines transcripts of a tense meeting between the American Airlines Pilots Union and Boeing officials.
The meeting was just weeks after that first jet crashed in Indonesia. Transcripts indicate Boeing pushed back about a possible problem with an anti-stall safety system. Frustrated pilots insisted they weren't told about that system to begin with. Boeing later said it was working on a fix. Months later, a second jet crashed in Africa. Officials say both crashes were caused by faulty sensors that incorrectly triggered that safety system. The plans remain grounded. The software fix has not been approved. Boeing says it continues to work with regulators to return the jet to service. An update out of Alaska this morning. The Coast Guard says 6 people are dead after those 2 sightseeing planes collided in midair. It happened Monday night.
The NTSB now on scene there. Taquan Air operated the larger of the planes. Neither one of those aircraft crash landed into a mountainside last year. The company, though, did have a plane that did. Taquan Air says it suspended operations now and is cooperating with investigators. And some big news out of North Carolina this morning. Dan Bishop won Tuesday's Republican primary. That's according to our ABC affiliate out of Charlotte. The special election was for a congressional seat there. It's been vacant since last year's election was called into question over alleged fraud.
Bishop is the state senator who sponsored that controversial bathroom bill in the Tar Heel state. The general election will be held September 10th. Dan McCready is the Democratic nominee.
It is 6:10 and still to come on this Wednesday morning, empowering students and staff to take their school safety into their own hands. How a new app could be the key to saving lives.
A little bit cool out there this morning with temperatures in the low 50s and in some spots the mid to upper 40s. You'll need a light jacket. We also need those sunglasses. I'll let you know how warm it gets this afternoon and which day this week we have summer-like humidity returning.
Coming up next, I'll show you how to get around this fatal collision on 26 westbound. And I just heard back from Highway Patrol. I'll let you know what they said.